Now let's go to Rachel Vincent.
My question is, I want to ask a question about gay marriage. And the question is not so much, should we allow gay marriage, but why shouldn't we allow gay marriage?
OK, all right, well, this is set against the backdrop of the federal government's veto of the ACT government's bill to legalise same-sex unions. At the same time, the Attorney-General, Robert McClellan, agreed to end discrimination against gay couples in many federal laws dealing with superannuation, inheritance, taxation, etc., etc. Stephen Crittenden, does it actually matter? Does any of this matter? If these discrimination laws are scrapped, does the gay marriage issue just become purely symbolic?
I've really moved on this issue. 5 years ago, I didn't really care about gay marriage, and I really, even now, don't know many gay people who are, you know, champing at the bit for gay marriage. I know some people are, but I've shifted on this. And actually, I think you can tell from the applause in the audience, you can tell from the op-ed pieces in the Telegraph that maybe the time for gay marriage has arrived. I actually think we are seeing the fairly rapid now rolling out of gay marriage and civil unions for same-sex couples all over the world, and I think it is inevitable it will come here.
Why have you shifted? Why have you shifted? If it was a matter of principle before, what actual principle changed?
The principle in always in these issues, I think the principle in the end comes down to justice. It's justice in the end that wins the argument. And you always have this pattern, you know, the left puts up the argument, there's a huge outcry, the right fights for 10 years, and then suddenly the entire population looks around and goes, hang on a minute, it's time, isn't it? And everyone seems, in this country, everyone seems to make a snap decision to go across that line together, and I think you can see that happening in this issue. So.
We're all human beings, says someone up there. Miriam Lyons, what do you think?
Yeah, well, it might be a bit old-fashioned, but I genuinely believe that all humans are born equal, and that's not somehow affected or amended or taken away from by the fact that they have a different sexual preference to the majority of the population. I generally believe that governments should pretty much stick out of the bedroom, but when it comes to marriage, they're already there. Marriage, you know, is a state institution. It comes with a whole lot of practical benefits, so why should homosexual people not have access to that?
Prue, what do you think?
It's very difficult. I think people should not be discriminated against in almost every way that they live, homosexuals or whatever. Because I think marriage is different. Marriage has become an institution of the state, and I might say the history of the state's intervention in marriage is that it was, first of all, as a law to decide who shouldn't marry, to protect children. That's how the state got involved in marriage, to protect children from being married to adults and all these arranged marriages. Historically, it is a social and religious institution, and I think so long as the majority of the population, and in particular the religious institutions who protect it and carry it, feel that it is not appropriate for homosexuals to marry, I think that's how we should leave it. I mean, marry is their word. There's nothing wrong if you want to have civil unions, other arrangements. But this is something that's centuries old, and it's wrapped up in a whole lot of history and social organisation and commitment and religion, and I think we should respect that.
All right, before we go back to our audience, Tanya Plibersek, quickly, why does your government oppose gay marriage?
Well, the first thing to say is that we had the 58 pieces of legislation that the Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission identified as discriminatory. We've gone beyond those 58 pieces of legislation to around 100 now that we'll be amending to make sure that that gay men, lesbians, same-sex couples and their families have all of the same access to government services, benefits and responsibilities as heterosexual couples. We have also in our national platform a commitment to a nationally consistent system of relationship recognition. There's the Tasmanian system, the Victorians are on the brink. The ACT was proposing something significantly different. We know that there's a lot of changes happening. There are legal changes around the edges, but still
the government opposes gay marriage, opposes the ceremony and opposes the word marriage. Just tell us why. And do you believe in that?
Well, the government's position and the Labor Party's position is that that marriage is between a man and a woman.
And do you believe in that?
Well, the Marriage Act and the government's position.
You could
Well,
change that.
the government would have to change that.
Yeah.
And you're part of the government, Tanya.
You would have to, well, as a group, we would have to change that.
Yeah.
Do you believe in this
I believe
distinction that's being made here?
You're allowed
I
to
believe
disagree,
that
aren't you?
gay and lesbian
She's
relationships.
not.
I believe gay and lesbian relationships are as important and as valid
Yeah,
as
so do I.
heterosexual relationships.
No, no.
Actually, I
It's not
do.
about that. No, that's not.
Agree to marriage.
Legalities and
Tony,
vote
I
against
think
the marriage
I actually
ban.
think it is precisely this issue of the definition of marriage as being a man and a woman that is changing, and the people are changing it.
The children certainly can't.
I actually think the Christian Church does not own marriage.
It's not just the Christians. I didn't say that. I said
I take your point, Prue, but I think there will in our society there will end up being such a thing as Christian marriage, but that isn't the same as marriage, and I think gradually there's going to be a distinction.
All right. We appreciate it. It's particularly hard because there's solidarity. You have to sort of stick with the party, etc., etc. But I just wonder sometimes how far that has to go. But I'm going to throw to the audience. And we'll go to this gentleman here with the glasses.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was just picking up on Prue Goward's point that, as I understand it, the gay and lesbian people aren't asking to be married in a church. They're just asking for the state to recognise their marriage. So why is there any issue with what a particular religion would think about the view? I mean, they're welcome to ban them from getting married in their church, but why should the state be involved in enforcing, a nationwide ban?
Because, as I said, marriage historically has been a religious institution and it's got that baggage.
All right, now we've got so many people. We've got so many people who want to ask questions here, but I'm sorry, we are coming close to the end of our time.